Some of you guys that know me might think this review is biased because I'm a ZTE fanboy. And you might have a point. Meet the Axon 10 Pro, the true successor to the Axon 7, which is that guy right there. Now, it took 3 years for the sequel to come out. 3 whole years. That's not something that's usually done in the tech smartphone community. I mean, the last people that took so long to release a sequel to a phone, they went out of business. And so yeah, I pre-ordered this phone in the summer, and I've been using it ever since. So I guess it's about time for me to give a review on it and see if it's a worthy successor to the Axon 7 and whether it's worth its price tag. And that price tag, uh, so pre-ordered price, I played myself and I pre-ordered it early and I paid $550. But ever since then, ZTE has been finding excuses to drop $100 off. So you can really just get this phone for $450, whether you trade in an Axon 7. Now, here's a loose read on the specs. You should probably just Google it though. But from off the top of my head, we have three cameras on the back. One of these is a 8 megapixel telephoto lens. One is, I believe, a 12 or 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, 13 millimeter, I believe. It's even wider than the iPhones. And the main sensor is a 48 megapixel sensor. And on the front, you have a front makeup. You have a 20 megapixel front facing camera. You have the dual speakers, the whole tweet and subwoofer array. No headphone jack. Huh. This is Qualcomm Quick Charge 4, but in the box, you still get the same Qualcomm Quick Charge 3 charger that came with that guy. And what else? Oh, we have a black uh, plastic back that, and this phone also has wireless charging. And in the internals, we have the Snapdragon 855 processor with 256 gigabytes of storage. That's my favorite feature. I love that. 8 gigabytes of RAM. There's also a 12 gigabyte RAM model. Also, the display is full HD AMOLED display with an optical fingerprint reader inside. Oh, one thing I should know. Um, you will also get this case when you purchase the phone. It's a nice grippy silicone case. There's also another case that comes in the box, a very unattractive clear case. The inside feels great, and it's like has a nice like almost sandpaper like texture, which I wish it was on the outside, but it's on the inside. I don't know why it's on the inside. But you will most likely be using this case, not this one. I guess let me show you what else is in the box. Oh, get out of here. Also in the box, I love the how they organize this box. So inside, I don't remember what was inside here. Maybe it was a charger. I don't remember. But here you will have the earbuds, the cable for the charger, and the quick charge 3 charger. And below that, you'll also, that's where the booklets and your SIM card ejector is in there. So if you're wondering what came in the box, that's what's in the box. Uh, oh, heads up, this case will be in the box. This will be separate from the box, but ZTE bundles this with what the purchase of the phone. Now back to the review. So let me go over the build first. Now, this is not your typical glass sandwich phone because, like I said, the back is plastic. Now, I didn't know how to really feel about that, but you know what? I decided that does, it's okay. It's okay. Like, you won't really know that it's plastic that you're feeling right off the bat until you start tapping it. Then you're like, hold on, is this plastic? But you know what? It looks so pretty, when you've wiped it down each time and you shine it in the light that you can forgive. It's glass. And, the Axon 7, this guy right here, was metal. And you might be tempted to say, you know what? Because it's not glass on the back, plastic won't break. So you might be tempted to not put it in a case that they provide. Don't do that, okay? Because this fell in the clear case that came with this phone in the box, and this thing shattered. The back was okay. The front shattered. Like, it was the first time I ever broke a phone. It was horrible. And while I'm on that point, I do have a separate video. I'll try to put it somewhere about contacting ZTE support to get this phone repaired. Cost me about like around $100 to get it repaired, and it was kind of a painless process. Well, that's not true. The pain was $100, a bit over $100. That was the pain. But back to the design and build. So I would say the fact that this is a plastic back should not deter you at all. Look at it. How can it deter you? Look how beautiful it looks. Look how it glistens in the light. What would deter me though is this the curving of the screen. I mean, I don't remember, but it's almost on the level of a Galaxy S7 Edge. And even Samsung did away with that nonsense. Like, oh my gosh, like because the glass is so curved, it makes it really hard to find a good screen protector. You can forget about finding a good glass screen protector for this phone. So far, the best thing I found for this is getting Skinomi cases, Skinomi wet install screens. Those are the only ones that provide the best coverage. I really wish ZT would just include a screen protector in the box because it's no bueno. Like this build has made me realize that you know what, I don't like phones with curved glass displays. I prefer my displays flat. I'm not gonna say the phone feels good in the hand. It doesn't feel bad, that's for sure, but with the curving of the glass and how the back also curves, it makes it feel really skinny and pointed. Like it's a narrow skinny feeling in your hand that you can grip it easier and you'll like that, but as to the whole, like, it's not something. But I'm not a fan of how the screen and the back is curving to like this narrow point of contact with your hand. So although the phone will feel nice, slim and slender in your hand, it's not comfortable. I'm going on about the feel in hand, but just slap on a case and boom, it's like it becomes much comfortable as soon as you have a case on it. Something that most people shouldn't disagree with me on, that it's a complete failure in terms of build, is this sim ejector tool. Look at it. Here it is. So here you have oh, so yeah, you can have two sims, or an SD card in one sim. My problem with it is, look at it. It is the most flimsiest thing I have ever seen. This is no bueno. Like, every time I take it out to change my sims, I am scared to death that it will break. And let me tell you something. If your SIM card breaks, like, it's out of commission. Like, you're gonna have to have that conversation, call support, and say, "Hey, I need a new SIM," and they might ask you to send in your whole phone. Like, let's look at like the phone from 3 years ago. Like, oh, ooh, did it? Okay, something might be going on with this SIM ejector tool. Ooh, this is metal. This is a metal SIM ejector tool. Premium as heck. Like, what happened? Like, I should not have to worry about the structural integrity of a SIM ejector tool when I'm paying half a grand on a phone. Another another mark I have on the build is the speaker setup. Now, it does get nice and loud sufficiently loud. But one problem I have with it is I'm getting more. It sounds really the sound sounds imbalanced. Like it sounds like all the sound is mostly coming from here, which is probably mostly yeah, most likely the case. And like, a little bit of sound is coming from here. And it's enough to make me think like no sound at all is coming from the top at all. And it just when I'm watching content and I'm just thinking like am I covering the top? Another mark on this phone is the power button. Let me show you. Like, can we go to zoom in on that? It's not in focus though. Don't know if you can see it, but right here is like this little cute red dot on the power button. Now, I don't really know what's the purpose of that. This little red dot. To me, it's kind of pointless to have that little red dot there. If you're gonna do something different with a power button, you have one of two options. You can make it textured so that it's a different feel from the rest of the buttons on the phone, or you can make it uh, a entirely different color. You can see. I'm still bringing up these guys, but the Moto G7 Play goes the textured route. I know BlackBerry goes the textured route. Pixel goes a full on different color, but this I don't know what is this supposed to be a bindi or something ZTE? Like what's this little teeny red dot doing for anybody? Like the only people that I know that does something like this is Huawei. But even then, like they cover much of a button in a different color. The optical sensor is while it's not breaking any records, it's good. It's reliable and dependable. Anyway, enough on the design. Although I do like, this look right here. That's a clean look. I love it. Now let's go on to the display. And, I have very little to say about the display because it's a really good display. Want to see how bright it gets? I mean, it gets bright. My eyes are sensitive, so it gets more than plenty bright enough for me, like too bright even. But I have nothing to say. Like, it does colors well. I don't have problems with viewing angles. It's a good display. It's a very good display. Like, this display should be a reason why you would consider buying this phone. It's praiseworthy. Another thing that, I can't really talk much on because, I've had uh, nothing bad to say about it is performance. Uh, this phone has handled everything I've thrown at it very well. uh and by everything, I'm a power user, so like I'd be trying to no, 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 let me get out my video editor of choice, power director. Like it's oop, it's all effortless on this device. The only time that the only thing that I've noticed that will give this device pause is snap with if I'm editing something on Snapseed and I'm doing lots of edits. But even then, it's still completing those edits faster than these other phones I've used in the past. So great performance. Another thing that's excellent is the price. And like I said, I pre-ordered this phone at $500. Silly me. I knew I could have. They told me 2 years ago that I could trade in my Axon 7 to get this phone cheaper, but I'm holding on to this guy for sentimental value. And at $450, here's the thing that really attracts me to this device. Like it's the storage. 256 gigabytes of expandable storage. Doesn't that sound amazing? Like that's computer components in a phone. 256 gigabytes. Like in my opinion, that storage size is pretty much like a main selling point of this phone, that it has to stand out and compete against other phones in its price range. Because one area this phone cannot compete in It's um it's the camera. And by cameras, well, there's two things to note. One is camera performance, and another thing is the camera UI. In terms of both, the Axon 10 Pro lags in both departments, except for the main sensor, whichever one of these two. Like the main sensor is a good performer. Usually, when I'm taking pictures, I usually try out the ultra wide and the telephoto. And let me speak on the telephoto. I don't know, maybe it's that one. All right, the 8 megapixel telephoto camera. It's not good. It, it's it's not good at all. It really needs optical image stabilization for you to pull off a shot that's in focus and sharp. And there have been some moments where I'm inside, I'm indoors, there's good light. I go to take a picture of something and it's hazy. It's hazy. Like it's like it needs a lens hood or something. Like I don't get it. Um, as to the ultra wide aspect of this phone, I would say it's very good in terms of how wide it gets. It obviously it I would it's not that it struggles in low light for me. That's not the issue I have with it. It's that it doesn't pack the same, dynamic range as the main sensor. Like I knew going into this, like, these mid-range flagship killer price phones, they're not gonna wow in the camera department, but this is I say the Axon 10 Pro takes a decided L. Like it gets competitors like to OnePlus now. Like it's like I would say this phone is now competing with Motorola in terms of camera results, which is oh my gosh. And that's just camera results. If we're just talking about camera UI, not the user experience, it's terrible. Like here's what I mean. Like there's this mode right here called wide mode, where the only purpose of this mode is to give you the option to say, hey, here's HDR for your wide angle shots, or to correct the distortion. And I don't really see why it has to have its own mode here in the bottom. That's just silly. Like, stick those things in the settings. And speaking of other modes, like we have portrait mode. What this mode serves to do is just to give you portrait effects like Huawei and like iPhone. And unfortunately, Huawei doesn't do it. I mean, well, ZTE doesn't do it so well. Like Huawei didn't really do it really so well either. ZTE does it worse. And night mode. Night mode. Let me just say that if I wanted to take a photo at night, I'm going to. I mostly use this trick where I'm using the magic shutter button to get more light out of something, or I'm going into manual mode to oh my gosh, that's another thing. But I go to manual mode to control the shutter. Like night mode does not really give me any improvable like good results. That's to say, hey, this camera's got night mode. Like, does it? Like, yeah. Bokeh mode, which is very interesting, is basically like sort of like live focus, like a toned down version of live focus on Samsung, but you just control how much background blur you have. That is cool. Another cool thing about bokeh mode is that it actually has data that Google Photos can read, and you can adjust later on after the fact you've taken the photos in Google Photos. That's cool. What's not cool is this this phone will actually try to simulate uh, the aperture. Like here, like if you go to like f 28 f 214, it will actually try to simulate like highlights that you would get that you would get taking pictures with an actual camera. And like that's no good. Like no, that's not something that you should be copying. Like that's detracting from the whole, taking a quick, easy photo. I mean, uh, here's the thing. Here's what bakes my ZD, as it were. The Axon 7, this phone got me into photography. Like, it didn't give me the best results. Like, the camera performance was nothing really to talk about, but the camera UI was good. It was out of my way. I could do things with it. And I guess, because it had one sensor, like, it was just easier to, use other apps. Like, other apps I would use would be open camera, you know, to use. And especially like the manual mode. And oh, here's the thing. So with the Axon 7, regardless of what mode you're in, you could always take a raw. You can always take a photo, capture a photo in RAW. Now, those photos was the size of those raw photos was 40 megabytes. I mean, I'm so serious right now. 40 megabytes. But you could do it, and it was actually really good. Like, you had a lot of data to work with on this Axon 7 phone. Here, while the raw size is 20 megabytes, unfortunately, you can only access it when you're in manual mode. Where is it? Right here. As soon as you leave the manual mode, get out, you lose that ability, and that's no bueno. Another thing is this exposure thing. Like, it's really not reliable. Like normally with most phones, like you just tap and hold to lock. Is it gonna lock? I don't think it locks anymore. And then like this thing to drop down exposure, it does not happen in real time. Like, uh, it shows me like the stops. I guess I'm reducing it by, and I'm seeing a little decrease, but or a little increase or decrease, but it shouldn't. Like, that's 12 stops. Like, barely anything changed. I really wish there was a way that I can set focus on one point and then set exposure at another point. And the Axon 7 was able to do that. And it's like, hardware wise, I guess the Axon 10 Pro, hard is only up there hardware wise because it has three sensors. But really, it's not so much of an upgrade because this camera has optical image. It has OIS. None of these three do. And because there's three cameras, like I know there's some Axon 10 Pro owners that will use the Pixel camera app to get good results, but it's work finding one that works well with this phone. And then two, like even if you do switch and use that app, like you can only use it with the main sensor. And then there's video. Normally, on the Axon 7 for video, I normally just use open camera because it gives me more control on how I wanted my videos to look. Here, no. Like, it's okay, fine. I have to use the main sensor for open camera. But, unfortunately, on open camera on the Axon 10 Pro, I can't set this thing to 24 frames a second, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know why that's a thing, why that's a hurdle. And also on video here, like if I want to use 4K, I cannot switch between camera sensors. If I can only do that if I'm recording at full HD or below. I don't know why that's another like hurdle for this. The camera just stands for a huge bag of compromise on it. And I was actually planning on returning it like the first 2 weeks I had it. But if some I was like, let me persevere. Let me see what the new update will bring. And that's another plus. This phone does have the new Android update. Very good. I forgot what it was. Let me check. It's got the Android 10 update, so that's good. It got that sometime in January, I believe. So to sum up my review, how does the Axon 10 Pro fit in terms of being a sequel to the Axon 7? Well, it fails, to be honest. It doesn't it doesn't bring forward the ethos the Axon 7 had, which was to be a great phone for content consumption. And ZTE said all this, making this phone a great phone for content consumption by, in 2016, having a phone with very loud dual front facing speakers. And they were very balanced, very loud, very balanced, very nice. uh, a high quality, it was more than full H. It was a quad HD AMOLED display. A very capable headphone jack with a very powerful amp inside. And 3 years later, we have the Axon 10 Pro with unbalanced speakers, no headphone jack, and it's just a full HD panel. But the display is nice, but there's really nothing to that stands out with this phone besides the fact that it has 256 gigabytes of storage. That's expandable. And that's very well and good. Like, this has really been the only Android phone where I've not had an SD card sitting in it most of the time. The only times I've put an SD card in is when I wanted to transfer one thing from this device to another device or vice versa. That's when I've used an SD card. But other than that, like having 256 gigabytes of storage, I want to be able to do something with that. And the way this camera is set up, like, no, like, I'm not video recording with it. I'm not going to be filling up photos, taking 256 gigabyte worth of bad photos that's coming from this device. Like, I guess that leaves gaming, and which, gaming is great on this phone, except for the unbalanced sound speakers. Um, oh, yeah, the DT does include a dongle, but really it doesn't match the sound. The sound signature from this device doesn't match what's here. Like, this was nice and warm. This is meh. Should you buy the Axon 10 Pro? Or rather, who is this device for? I can recommend this device, $450. At $450, yeah, it's not a stupid buy at all. If you are looking for, you know, that high amount of storage and you want to upgrade it, you can upgrade it to 2 terabytes. If I don't know what you're doing with that, but if you're looking for a phone that's not like a Note 9 or I guess Note 10, then this is it. Like, this device will give you most of the storage you'll need at cheaper. And I'm assuming you probably want to, if you want to store like a whole media, make this a whole media device thing. Like, I get it, but as to buying one now, knowing what I do now, I wouldn't, buy it again. I wouldn't buy it now, especially now with, you can actually get like a Galaxy S10 Plus for around like $400 to $500, and paying $50 more to get that. I don't know. I don't know, ZTE. ZTE is having been having a tough time since 2016. That was the golden years, and ZTE did have trouble, and it's why part of the reason why it took them so long to push out a sequel to the Axon 7. But with the COVID virus now affecting China heavily and all of mobile tech, uh, I'm just really hoping that ZT just pulls ahead through and comes back. Because one thing that really bugs me is the Axon 7 was a great device because they actually listened to their consumer base, and then 3 years later it's like all that information just disappeared to this. Like, whoop, out the like in 1 year, and like they forgot in 3 years, and here we are. It's going in the mail to be sold to someone else. But anyway, thanks for watching my video. That was my review of the Axon 10 Pro. Like and subscribe, and you guys have a good day. Bye.